Hi, I'm True Weather Meteorologist Mark Schanneberger, and today we're talking heat wave. And if you live in the northern part of the United States, chances are at one point or another you've heard someone exclaiming the officialness of a heat wave after 3 days of 90 degrees or better. So where does this so-called official definition of a heat wave come from? Well, in 1900, Alvin T. Burroughs rigidly defined a hot wave as a spell of 3 or more days on each of which the maximum shade temperature reaches or exceeds 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 32.2 degrees Celsius. So that's where that definition comes from. However, Burroughs' definition was intended only for agricultural purposes, not for the effects felt by humans as it is now often used. Furthermore, his criteria was meant to be applied to large geographical areas, not individual cities or recording stations as it is today. The problem with this definition is that solely using air temperature as the determining factor for a heat wave is antiquated. Why? Well, what happens when you get an 89-degree day sandwiched in between two 90-degree days? According to some, that's not a heat wave, or at least not an official heat wave. Plus, not all 90-degree days are built the same. While the heat index is not perfect, it's certainly a much better way of determining a heat wave and the effects heat and humidity can have on a human. Case in point, temperatures near 90 degrees with dew points in the upper 50s can feel very similar to when temperatures are in the middle 80s and dew points are in the upper 60s or low 70s. The American Meteorological Society's definition of a heat wave is less restrictive, defining it as a period of abnormally or uncomfortably hot and unusually humid weather, which should last at least one day, but conventionally it lasts from several days to several weeks. Whereas the World Meteorological Society uses the 5 and 5 rule, defining a heat wave as 5 or more consecutive days of prolonged heat in which the daily maximum temperature is higher than the average maximum temperature by 5 degrees Celsius or 9 degrees Fahrenheit or more. The reason why this definition might be slightly better is that it's relative to the time of year and the location, but that can make a heat wave even more difficult to track. As we take a look at some of the larger cities across the northern United States, as well as our headquarters city of Allentown, Pennsylvania, you can see where many locations stack up on average over the 60 warmest days of the year. In mid-June, there's no doubt that for many locations, 90 degrees is outside that 9-degree criteria when it comes to the average high temperature. However, as we get into the middle of July and in some cases even through the middle of August, that gap narrows to the point where the average high in some locations is close to or within a few degrees of 90. The bottom line is a heat wave being 3 days of 90 degrees or better just isn't that official or that far out of the norm in the peak of the summer. The heat index is a much better measurement for heat waves than air temperature alone, and if air temperature is the only criteria that we're going to use, then maybe we should start talking about heat waves occurring at other times of the year when temperatures are well above average for several days in a row. If you'd like to find out more about how True Weather can support your business operations, you can find us on the web at truewx.com. Also, make sure to follow us on LinkedIn and like us on Facebook.